Hello, and welcome to this special edition of Guatoga TV. This is part 4 of our series on the Seigneury of Sault-Saint-Louis. In this episode, Elder Billy Two Rivers talks about some of the events that occurred in the Canadian regime. In keeping with our oral tradition, Billy tells us what happened in his own words and some of the more recent events that have affected our land base. Billy tells his story from an elder's point of view and in Kahnawa'kehró. We've translated Billy's words into English and have kept the translation as close to Billy's words as possible. Following Billy's interview, we will go over some of the important points and facts that occurred during the Canadian regime. These facts are based on joint research conducted by the Mohawk Council of Kahnawa'kehró and the federal government. They can also be found in the Seigneury of Sault-Saint-Louis historical pamphlet.
Hello. It's time for me to continue the story of our land with the Canadian government. If you remember so far, I've told you the story of the 5 nations, and of the French, and how the king tried to take care of us. And how the British continued taking jurisdiction over our land. Then the Canadian government took over from there. In 1867, Canada started taking jurisdiction over our land. We never surrendered or sold our land. This land belongs to the unborn, and it's our responsibility to take care of it. This is why we will never sell it or give it up. The Canadian government tried to change that, and they wanted to take care of it. We emphasize that it's our land, and that we never surrendered it. Years passed, and the Indian Act came about.
Tanne onukti wahadisha de nada de dinadunqua Indian Act. Nonagan wahadihewe Indian Act.
When they brought in the Indian Act, they decided who was Indian and who belongs here. Jean Chrétien, who was the Minister of Indian Affairs at the time, said that we have no business here, nor with the Seigneury. It was while Chrétien was the Indian Affairs Minister that research into the Seigneury grievance started. They said at the time, we have no rights or ownership to the land. We continued to maintain our position of ownership of the land, and joint research helped reaffirm our case. During the construction of the seaway in the 1950s, land was expropriated in St. Constant, and the government tried to pay us $3,000 for it, but we refused.
Nigu dohonanzoni hadigariage. Yaki de guatudado. Nguedage wa unots. Ziata de guadu de tade guadahunzoni na idawayena teowista. Yas the wari wayak said the one key hunzakwa na hunots the giga na seaway. Negi gandu the serdo na de under the ungwao.
The government's offer proves that we still have title to that land.
Ganda hun agent ganda the runda kwete scare na the wires. Negi de Wahunja Daro, the Radijan is toasted like a howie, Tanu was Sagori Waeras, a Hadiri Wanuanaga, Owista Hadiena, Tanu Ahuntka, when an Aguna Waj, Juguan's eyes, Jiniwan, Yata Hadia, there is the Ungwawa. Serega, the heads to Yaki de Yudun, why you get a Unskadogani Negasanaga. Jine agiru wudas de izan you what you kuano de ngweda ko wayu ya togi gadi anti se yara gaji na hodo wa garadu se judaso ne lazaruni gan kana jan ramha yatta hoye de round ji ngwaonge hunza now the agiru wa to ni gura de ji suwanya heza na adriosra danu ne janidu Laudine Hauri Wage. Nari Wadi de Hadizigan to Wanagare. Danunona Jorda Saga Unwagan, Wahundari, Wahuske, and Unzag, and Dunua, Unjada Greniuste. Tunawagi, Wantia Jataras, Jur Saga Unwe, Danu died Wadono, Negina, I said one hour and Ganajan, Jandari, Wahundario. Tony Johawi to the Wahayade and the George Saga Unwe Jagam. The one agare. Now the Hudaru, Wahayade and the Yungwao. General Gates, Zahariwa near the Yungwahunza Gigam. Then Radizihans that done Radina John, Radido, Yatedo the under Sarai and a gun had it Rundage, Jinichi Gari Wizu. Ramagi wahade nyanda nam zahata gorishin and wari wasua. Dosa ne gan hunjata gweni usted and zahayede franzium guao. Tonagwagi you hawit to the wahayede rana. Tanunona erzar at the danger sagaun when Nuzar and Jorda Saga. Tonagina Goraron the Hadason wahade nyanda na Ariwatun that the young Wangi Hunza. Negi the way here, now the what we're gonna do has
It's up to you to find out more information so you can know more about our land and to help you understand what's true and what's not. If they pay us, then they'll own our land and we'll have to find more lands.
Dai dowari again, dai dowari waske na. Naho dan agiro orihuaga iga. Now the doske iga dan naho dan ya doske de. Ya dego ne rudi hiadu na dego ne rudi garizu. Tiga hiadu. Ya sei warihuaga de. Dai hiadoro sen gan gora haronu. Danu ne jandari go haronu. Nene agiro orihuaga agan hage. Si Runuha ne ohunzara di hawe. Runuha tadia the great neo. Now that the Honanzoni, you one kiri waher has said, Toga ayuki gariak said, now the runat karu then. Tanu ne Runuha ahunja the great neo, stejenu on Radinagare. Tani on it see the Wezaka gajikno, ohunzam zai the wanino. Yes, I told the guy in our Saroda, Yana one day what the Nino, Yana one day what cow. Ongi gadi de unzone, Sahadai the Watara, Sahadai the Wadeniguriza, Ayuwatiguhayanda, now the utility wahehras, now the utility.
The council now has to find out what the community wants.
On what the Rorine, the Agiru Unka de Watare, now the Naganada de Hunzoni.
We now have a lot to talk and to think about. We are looking for the right things to do.
Now the Ukriwayas, Yakin edit Kaya the Guinea, now that Kaya the Guinea is Naho the Yada Yuguri Wayandas and Kahnawa'kehró. Now the day what the Hunzoni, Onichi the Waga Ayas, Kijinun the Wanagare, Tanzaha, Onichi the Waga Ayas, the Radinaraga, Zenun Tadinagare. Agero, Wanakne, Wankia Jahas, Tahundaria, that Runuha, on a Wahundenaduni, Agero, and Sadagantiga, Wahadigetsko. On what Tadiaku, Zokona, and other Radiadunkone municipalities, Wahununi. Negi Ague Tordo, Nadenadizum. Kergi did the Waga on you, than a Sina Gayera. Dosagi Agiru, there's a way out Dorit Oxak. Eonixi Eza de Gatarako. Onixi Eza Ganigurai Dasto. On the party of Wanigu Roda. Negi the way here, are Zagariwan here, the Zianone de what counts. Sinich in the Jojarant, the Wakaradu, Segi Iwezi, did the way at the Great Neo Gihunza, Zinu the Wanagare. Tanu Negi Agiru Agua Nega, Aguadi Wanundu.
History is not written in our benefit. We have to keep that in mind. We have to give direction to Chief and Council should meet with the community to jointly come up with possibilities that are in the best interests of Kahnawa'kehró. 1867. The British North America Act is passed on July the 1st. Section 9124 gives the Parliament of Canada exclusive jurisdiction to make laws concerning Indians and lands reserved for Indians. 1876. The Indian Act is passed on April the 12th. 1890. On March the 10th, Mr. Doyen, Member of Parliament, brought the matter of indemnity for the Iroquois of Kahnawa'kehró before the House of Commons. Mr. Doyen asserted that the Iroquois had been dispossessed of their lands. He addressed the issue of legitimate title to the Seigneury, loss of lands, and lost revenues suffered by the Iroquois. 1935. Seigneurial Rent Abolition Act is applied to conceded seigneury lands. 1948. The Band Council of Kahnawa'kehró passed 2 resolutions stating that the matter of the seigneury rent collection be dealt with. 1955. The Band Council votes against the acceptance of $3,000 from the Seaway project for payment of arrears and actual rent for a portion of the seigneury lands. Despite this negative vote, the federal government passed an order in council on June 2, 1955, approving the payment. 1974. Minister of Department of Indian Affairs, the Honorable Jean Chrétien, replies to a letter from Chief Ron Kirby concerning the Seigneury. The department concluded that the amount of revenue involved, or rents, would not justify the cost of recreating records and collecting dues. The Band Council disagreed with the department's conclusion and continued to pursue the claim. 1988. The Mohawk Council Kahnawake issues a notice to surrounding municipalities of Kahnawaqe's ownership of the Seigneury lands. Indian Affairs responds by telling the mayors of those municipalities that no such claim was ever filed by Kahnawake. A fair and just settlement. In 1994, a joint process between the federal government and the Mohawk Council Kahnawake was established to clarify and resolve the historic land dispute. On June 16, 2003, the government sent a letter of offer to negotiate the Seigneury of Sault Ste. Louis to the MCK. On June 24, 2003, the MCK accepted the offer to negotiate.
Thank you for watching Part 4 of this special for Gwitdoga TV on the Seigneury of Sault Ste. Louis. We hope you found this series to be informative and that it has helped you to understand Kahnawaqe's long-standing land grievance. Yawagoa, Dana Onagi Wahi.